RAF Binbrook doesn't creak. It breathes. Its hangars exhale fog, even when the skies are clear. Something inside it never stopped taxiing the runway. They came to seal off the past, a quiet survey, a cold checklist. But when the fog rolled in, the lights came on, and someone started walking the perimeter with a limp. Old war logs said he died during sabotage. Locals whisper he tried to stop a doomed flight. But if he died in 1945, who's still waving at the runway every night at 3:17 a.m.? We recovered the last recording. One voice, shaking. He's still on watch. But here's the question no one can answer. If the bomber exploded midair, how did Clubfoot's boots stay wet? The gravel under the MOD transport crunches as it pulls to a stop near the rusted perimeter gate. A bitter wind sweeps across the Lincolnshire countryside, bending the tall grass like an invisible tide. Fog hangs low, too low. It clings to the old airfield as if refusing to let go. Sergeant Marcus Hale steps out first, boots sinking slightly into the soaked earth. He takes one look at the cracked runway, the crumbling hangars swallowed by fog, and mutters under his breath, "Hell of a holiday." Behind him, Corporal Jamie Rowe unloads gear from the back, visibly eager, camera slung around his chest. "Place looks like a bloody horror set," he jokes, forcing a grin. His voice feels too loud out here, like it doesn't belong. Yo2 Callum Briggs lights a cigarette, squinting toward the control tower in the distance. "Binbrook, forgot it even existed," he says, exhaling smoke like it's his last comfort. "Used to be RAAF, Lancaster bombers, big ones, ran night ops. The team is here under MOD's Historical Anomaly Recovery Directive, officially to log and assess remaining munitions risk before permanent shutdown. Unofficially, none of them fully know why. Inside the main building, their boots echo through long-abandoned halls, dust on every surface, but a coffee cup sits clean on a desk, still upright, no spider webs, no mold. Rowe snaps a photo. No one's been here in decades, right? No one answers. A wind gust howls through broken panes, and somewhere distant, out by the hangars, a loose chain clinks steadily, as if tugged. Briggs eyes the dark hall ahead. "Let's make this quick." They don't know it yet, but someone, or something, is already watching. Late afternoon light casts long shadows across the weed-choked perimeter of RAF Binbrook. The sky is low and metallic, the airfield unnaturally still. Hale leads the group along the outer fence line, clipboard in hand, marking structural faults and remaining hazard zones. Every few steps, his pen hesitates. Some sections of the fence show signs of recent repair, others oddly warped, like they were bent from the inside. "Hangar 2's half collapsed," Hale mutters. "Might need drone inspection." Rowe adjusts his body cam and points toward a set of blast doors in the distance. "What's that section? Doesn't match the layout I pulled." Briggs stops, squinting. "That was sealed after the Cold War. Wasn't part of your brief?" Rowe shakes his head. "It's not even on the current schematics." They approach the main hangar next. A single red warning light, long dead, hangs above the entry, dangling slightly in the breeze. Inside, they find nothing but rusted scaffolding and moldy tarps, until Briggs stops near the far wall. "Oi, look at this." Etched into the concrete is a faint set of initials, SS. Beneath it, a date, 1945. No dust on the carving. It looks freshly scratched, though the wall hasn't seen a soul in decades. Rowe raises his camera. Could just be vandals. But the camera glitches, a flicker of static, then black. When he looks up, The fog outside the hangar appears denser than before. Hale's radio crackles, then cuts. Dead. They all freeze. A soft dragging sound begins. Faint, metallic, from somewhere inside the hangar, like something heavy being pulled, slowly. Hale signals, silently, eyes sharp. No one breathes. The sound stops, and for just a second, only Roe sees it. A figure in vintage flight gear, standing in the hangar's back corner, gone in a blink. Night has fallen hard over RAF Binbrook. No wildlife, no crickets, only the steady hum of wind slipping through the broken hangars. The team's temporary ops base, a reinforced prefab shelter, sits in the shadow of Control Tower A. Inside, flickering monitors and low radio static fill the silence. Briggs brews instant tea. Roe adjusts the perimeter cams for the 6th time, visibly tense. I swear one of the external feeds looped. Roe mutters. Caught the same frame twice. 8 seconds apart. Hale doesn't look up. Old system. Glitches. You're seeing ghosts because you want to. Maybe. Roe replies, less convinced. Outside, Briggs starts perimeter patrol. His boots crunch the gravel with slow, deliberate steps. He pauses near the edge of the runway, squinting into the misted dark. Then it happens. A radio ping, sharp and clear. Delta 3, do you copy? It's Roe's voice, but Roe isn't on comms, and the channel is locked. Perimeter breach. Gate 4. I see someone. I think it's... Static crushes the rest. Inside the ops unit, Roe stares at the headset. He hadn't transmitted anything. Briggs replies anyway, voice steady. Say again, Delta 3, who do you see? No answer. Then his flashlight dims, flickers, and cuts out. In the silence, he hears it again. That dragging metallic footstep from earlier. Closer. Wet gravel shifting. He turns. Nothing. Except, far off near the fuel dump, the faint outline of a figure, limping, a twisted gait, just beyond visibility, watching. Briggs clicks his comms. Something's out here. Static. Back inside, the ops room lights dim briefly. Monitors twitch. And on camera 4, Roe sees it. A man in World War II-era gear, staring directly into the lens, not moving, not blinking. And then, the feed dies. All of it. Cut to black. Morning. Fog still clings to the hangars. The airfield looks even more lifeless under pale gray light. Inside the command prefab, Hale examines the generator's battery logs, while Roe sits cross-legged on the floor, sifting through one of the rusted metal storage crates they'd pried open just before sunrise. These aren't standard inventory reports, Roe mutters, pulling out a bundle of oil-stained parchment wrapped in decaying twine. Briggs raises an eyebrow. MOD Archives said the site was scrubbed in the 80s. Hale leans over as Roe carefully unfolds the top sheet. It's a typewritten report, dated July 1945. The header reads, Sergeant Sinclair, Disciplinary Review/Incident 19B. The report details an accident during pre-flight checks on a Lancaster bomber. An armorer allegedly interfered with munitions, possibly sabotage. He was caught mid-act, claimed he was stopping a cursed flight. The plane exploded an hour later. No survivors. Briggs shakes his head slowly. Clubfoot. Roe looks up. Sorry? Local legend. Aircrew swore he limped from hangar to hangar after the war, still doing safety rounds. Ghost story. The kind NCOs tell rookies to keep them awake on night watch. Hale scans the next page. Handwritten notes from a chaplain. Sergeant Sinclair insisted he saw them, boarding the plane. Men with the wrong eyes, no boots, speaking backwards. Roe's face drains. That's what I heard over the radio last night. A whisper. It didn't sound like English. Briggs taps the last page. A crude sketch of the flight line. with a circled X by Hangar 2, labeled "Always Waves Here." Same time, every night. The same spot Briggs patrolled last night. The same figure. Outside, a gust slams the prefab door. The temperature drops, and a faint knock echoes from the radio. 3 taps. Then silence. The fog thickens by dusk. Briggs volunteers to do a walk of the perimeter. "Stretch the legs," he says, but his tone is off, tight, wary. Hale glances up from his notes and nods. "Stay within line of sight. Yell if you need anything." Rowe flips through more of the old documents as Briggs disappears into the white sheet of mist. Outside, his boots crunch softly on gravel. Wind whistles faintly through the open framework of a rusted radar dish. Every sound feels padded, muted, like the airfield is holding its breath. Briggs makes it halfway down the old flight line when something catches in the corner of his eye. Movement, far end of the tarmac. He freezes. Through the haze, under the amber perimeter light, a figure, standing still. Briggs squints. The figure raises one arm. Not a wave. A military salute. Briggs instinctively stiffens, returns it, then immediately regrets it, because when he lowers his hand, the figure is gone. No footsteps, no retreating shadow, just absence. He radios in. "Perimeter secure," he lies. Back inside, Briggs pours himself tea with shaking hands. Rowe asks if he saw anything. Briggs doesn't answer at first. Then, "Saw something. Or someone. Saluted me." Rowe's face pales. That's where the document said he always appears. Same time, same place. Hale leans forward. "What do you mean he?" Briggs hesitates. "I know military posture when I see it. That wasn't a prank. That was a man who'd stood post before." Rowe whispers, "Clubfoot?" Briggs just stares at the wall. Whatever it was, it saw me. Static flutters across the nearby comms panel. For a split second, an old RAF call sign flickers across the digital display, one not programmed into any modern system. Then it vanishes, and the fog thickens. The cold settles deeper that night. The 3 men bunk down in what's left of the old control room. Steel desks overturned for cover. Ration packs torn open on the floor. Hale nods off against a crate of archival gear. Briggs lies awake, staring at the ceiling. But it's Rowe who tosses, then jolts upright, gasping. Sweat clings to his skin despite the freezing air. Hale wakes with a grunt. "Bad dream?" Rowe's voice trembles. "It was real." Briggs sits up now, alert. "What did you see?" Rowe stares at his hands. "A Lancaster. Full burn. Mid-air explosion. Fire everywhere. I was inside it, like I was one of them." He holds up his palms. Burn marks. Faint, but there. Pink blistering streaks across both hands. Hale curses under his breath. "That's not a dream." Rowe nods, eyes wide. There was someone outside the blast, watching, limping, waving, not to warn them, like he was trying to stop it. Briggs says nothing. He just glances out the cracked window toward the runway. Rowe pulls out one of the sealed 1940s folders they found earlier, opens to a faded photo. Men in flight gear, smiling. He taps a figure near the edge, barely visible, a shadow behind the crew, one foot turned outward. "Look," he says, "that's him." No one speaks for a long time. Then the radios crackle again, static merging with what sounds like a prop engine. Just faint enough to doubt, but loud enough to make the hair rise on the back of Hale's neck. He reaches over and flips the radio off. Silence. Then from the darkness outside, 3 slow knocks against the metal siding. Measured. Even. Briggs whispers, "He's doing his rounds." Morning is no relief. Briggs runs system checks, but their encrypted comms are down. GPS reads nothing but static latitude. The drone footage they captured yesterday is corrupted. frames frozen, jittering, like it's stuck on a loop of static and fog. "Still think this is just a power fault," Rowe mutters, his nerves fraying. Hale doesn't answer. He's staring at one of the printouts, weather data. The wind direction has been the same for 36 hours. Unmoving. Impossible. They gather near the rear hangar entrance, debating fallback. Hale suggests prepping the Land Rover for a hard pullout, but Briggs shuts that down. "We finished the sweep," he says. "We've seen weird before. This doesn't change the mission." Rowe scoffs. "Burn marks in phantom planes don't qualify as weird." Briggs locks eyes with him. They're not new either. That shuts Rowe up. They split, Briggs to check the power junctions, Hale and Rowe to examine the sealed munitions vault near the runway. The air grows heavier with every step. Inside the vault, they find metal crates fused shut with rust, some marked with chalk X's that aren't in any inventory list. Hale pries one open. Inside, flight logs, dated 1944. One entry circled in red ink, shaking lines. "Sortie aborted. Crew non-responsive. Sinclair intervened." Rowe's hands tremble. "Why keep this here?" Before Hale can answer, the lights flicker, and the inside of the vault hums like something's powering up. Then the smell hits them. Jet fuel and burned cloth. Hale turns, flashlight sweeping the corner. A figure stands there just for a blink. Vintage RAF uniform, burned face, one boot twisted outward, waving. Gone. Rowe drops the log. They back out fast. Outside, the Land Rover is running, keys still on Hale's belt. The chill hasn't lifted. Inside the makeshift ops room, Rowe scrubs through yesterday's body cam footage. He slows one section, audio glitching, skipping like an old tape. He rewinds again. At times, Tamp 3, 12 a.m., as Hale opens the vault, a faint voice plays beneath the static. "Don't let them fly." Again. Rowe freezes. That wasn't one of them, and it's not in the original ambient mic. He tries isolating the channel, boosting gain. Something else appears. A second voice, deeper, strained. Sinclair held the line. He stares at the screen. No visual anomaly. But the next frame flashes, a half-second blur of what looks like a hangar ablaze, a silhouette dragging a limp body toward a door. Then static. He rushes to Hale, who's in the garage bay checking the generator. "I didn't touch the edit," Rowe says, shoving the tablet into Hale's hands. It recorded itself." Hale watches the clip. Silent. "You recognize that voice?" Rowe pushes. "No." Hale lies. Later that night, Briggs returns from the perimeter. His eyes are red, face pale. "Perimeter's fine," he mutters, almost robotic. "Same paths, no tracks, just fog." Rowe leans toward him. "You all right?" Briggs doesn't blink. "Did you hear the engines?" Hale stiffens. "What engines?" Briggs walks past them. They were overhead, just for a second, like they were coming back in. He trails off into silence, locks himself in the barracks. At 3 a.m. hours, all external floodlights switch on at once. No power spike, no trigger. And in the fog at runway's end, someone is waving again. But this time, Rowe is recording through night vision. And this time, the figure looks straight into the lens. Dawn offers no comfort. Inside the hangar, Hale stands over a collapsed metal beam, rusted but recently dislodged. Briggs insists it fell on its own. No wind, no vibration, just dropped. Rowe scans it with a handheld device. There's a melted section, warped, as if exposed to a brief blast of intense heat. "EMP?" Hale mutters. "Not from us," Briggs growls, nursing a bruised shoulder. As Rowe returns to their field terminal, he winces and pulls his gloves off. His palms are raw, blistered. "What the hell happened to you?" Hale asks. I had a dream. The bomber, exploding. I woke up like this." Rowe's voice shakes. Briggs cuts in. "My grandfather served here. He told me there was a fire. 1945. Crew caught in the blast. Only one body found intact." Rowe nods slowly. Sinclair? Briggs looks away. Supposedly, he saw it coming. Tried to stop the launch. Why bury that? Hale asks. Because it wasn't just a fire. It kept repeating. Radios lit up at the same time, every year. Rowe's tablet glitches. He taps. An old photo appears on screen. RAF crew lined up, and at the far end, a blurred figure in a long coat, barely visible, 1 foot angled oddly. Rowe zooms in. There, he points. That's the same guy, the one waving. Static crawls across the monitor before cutting to black. Then the terminal speaks. Tinny. Crackled. Engine. 3. Fire. All 3 freeze. Hale reaches down to kill the power, but the system's already off. The voice wasn't coming from the computer. It was coming through the generator casing, metal vibrating like a speaker, and somewhere faintly, the roar of distant propellers builds, then vanishes. The team gathers in the surveillance shack after nightfall. Rain spatters the windows and fog creeps low across the runway, outside. Thick, unbroken. Rowe sits wired into the comms array, headphones over his ears, scanning for any stray signals. Briggs stares out toward the distant runway lights, arms folded. Lights flickered again. Only runway 3. Hale tightens the straps on his vest, his instincts sharpening. Power grid's fine. We checked it twice. Rowe stiffens. Got something. He cranks up the volume. A low hum fills the room, rhythmic, mechanical at first, then unmistakably human. Breathing. Slow. Labored. Then a sharp intake, like someone submerged underwater. 3:17 a.m. blinks on every synced watch at once. Rowe yanks the headphones off. Same time last night. Same signal. Briggs mutters, "That's when the bomber exploded in the old reports, down to the minute." Suddenly, all 3 exterior motion cams flare white. The monitors fizzle, then go dark. Hale grabs his rifle. Eyes outside now. They move out, boots heavy against the soaked concrete. The air is still, oppressively silent. Rowe's flashlight beam swings across the taxiway and catches a figure at the far edge of the airstrip. Standing, motionless, wearing vintage gear. Briggs whispers, That's the waving one." But this time, it doesn't wave. It turns its head slowly and begins limping toward them, 1 foot dragging, leaving a long, wet mark on the concrete. Briggs lifts his rifle. "Permission to fire?" "No," Hale says. It's not right." Suddenly, the figure vanishes. Not in a blink, like tape skipping. Frame jump. Gone. Rowe's voice breaks the silence. "I didn't blink." From inside the shack, a new voice crackles through the comms. "Hangar 3, fire in the wing." But no one is touching the radio. Morning breaks gray and cold, but no one's slept. The team huddles in the prefab shelter, metal walls slick with condensation. Rowe sits silently, clutching his mug. Hale checks his gear with robotic focus. Briggs stands near the entrance, chain smoking, watching the hangars. Hale finally breaks the silence. "We need to log last night, every detail." Rowe doesn't move, just raises one trembling hand. Burn marks, raw, circular, blister his palms. Briggs leans forward. "Christ, what happened?" "I dreamed I was on fire," Rowe whispers. "Inside a bomber. Lancaster. Nose gunner seat. It exploded, but it wasn't a dream. I could feel it." Hale grabs a med kit, examining the burns. "These are fresh, like flash burns." "How the hell?" Rowe looks at them wide-eyed. "Someone was screaming. Not me. Someone else behind me." He said, "You were warned." The prefab lights flicker. Once. Twice. Briggs mutters, "Whatever this is, it's personal. It's using our heads." Rowe speaks again, softer. "I think it's using memories." They glance toward the window. Outside, fog begins creeping in again, heavier than before. It spills across the runway like a rising tide. Then a loud thud hits the roof. Everyone freezes. Another. And another. Like boots, pacing above them. Hale grips his sidearm. No access up there. Briggs unlocks the door slowly, stepping out with Hale right behind. The roof is empty. No sign of disturbance. But on the ground, just at the prefab's base, fresh prints. What two military-issue boots, 1 foot dragging. Inside, Rowe breathes faster. From the radio shelf, a soft hum begins again. Low, repeating. Flight path not cleared. Abort mission. Abort. But it's not a transmission. It's a recording. And the tape is blank. 6 p.m. Dusk settles hard over Binbrook. The fog has thickened to a wall. Visibility is down to 50 meters. The cold creeps under gear and into lungs. The team stands outside Hangar 3 preparing thermal scans. Hale adjusts the drone tablet, but the feed won't stabilize. Static blooms across the screen. The signal stutters, then dies. Briggs scans the perimeter with binoculars. Stops. There, edge of the runway, see it? Hale squints. For a split second, a silhouette. A man, standing still in the fog. Rowe lifts the thermal monocular. No heat signature, nothing. Then the figure lifts its arm. Waves. Slow. Purposeful. Not a greeting. A warning. Tell me someone logged that. Briggs growls. No visuals, Hale mutters, already rebooting the drone. No feed. Rowe lowers the monocular, his face pale. It's always the same time. That's the 3rd day in a row. The silence thickens. Then the wind picks up, carrying with it the faintest sound. Distant engines, sputtering, choking, failing. They turn toward the runway. Headlights flicker on, ancient ones, mounted low, amber-hued. A phantom convoy? No vehicles in sight. Briggs snaps. We're leaving at first light. This place is soaked in something foul. They return to the shelter. Inside, Rowe writes in his logbook. Hale wipes down frost from his tablet. Briggs counts gear. Again. But outside, the figure still stands. Not waving anymore. Just watching. The fog thickens until it swallows him whole. Inside, the lights flicker once, then hold steady. The radio hisses. He tried to stop them, and they didn't listen. No one says a word. The past isn't just repeating. It's waiting for someone to finish what was never completed. The fog returned thicker than ever, clinging to the walls of the hangar like it was alive. Hale's breath clouded in front of him as he snapped another glow stick, its weak green light swallowed by the haze. Rowe hadn't come back from the comm shack. Hale radioed again, voice flat but tense. Rowe, report. You copy? Only static answered. Then, a faint hum, mechanical, rhythmic. He followed it, stepping carefully down the cracked tarmac toward the signal relay point. The chain-link fence beyond it clattered softly in the still air, like something brushing against it. Inside the shack, the air was freezing. The old analog gear flickered, despite no mains power. A narrow streak of soot traced up the wall to the ceiling, ending in a palm print, burned into the metal. Hale reached for his sidearm. He turned toward the door. Briggs stood in the doorway, eyes wide. He's gone, he said flatly. Where? Briggs just pointed to the east gate. I saw him walk out, but his feet weren't touching the ground. They both turned as the static rose again, sharper this time, layered with something else beneath, like old radio calls played backward. Hale clicked off his radio. Still, it hissed. They stepped outside, eyes scanning the tree line. Fog rolled low, and just beyond the gate, Hale saw it, a figure in a 102 bomber jacket, one arm raised in that same desperate wave. Only this time, it was wearing Rowe's face. He took a step forward and vanished into the mist. The wind outside has died, but something else moves. Hale walks alone across the main hangar, documenting wiring, noting the war-era structure, dictating into his headset. As he rounds a support beam, his foot catches a divot. He kneels, embedded in the dust, a flattened 1943 RAF maintenance tag, untouched by time. On the back, etched in smeared pencil. He tried to stop them. His comm crackles, Ro's voice frantic. But it's not coming from Hale's headset. It echoes through the hangar speakers. "Sarge, please, I see them. I see the lights. They're moving. He's trying. He's waving again." Hale freezes. The intercom system hasn't worked in decades. His eyes follow the dangling wires up the wall. Every red bulb on the intercom board is lit. He backs away, then hears footsteps, not boots, one dragging foot. He turns. Nothing there. Except the hangar lights flicker once, then go dark. From across the hangar, metal clatter, then silence. Then, "You should have left it sealed." A voice. Male. Hollow. Right behind him. Hale spins, flashlight up. Just dust swirling. He runs. A system with no power just activated. A voice that shouldn't exist just spoke. Something's trying to warn or blame them. Night. Briggs jolts awake inside their field tent, covered in sweat, heart racing. He claws at his hands, red welts seared into his palms, in the shape of circular burn marks. Hale rushes over, trying to calm him. "It exploded," Briggs mutters. "In the air. I saw it. The Lancaster. It never made it." Hale freezes. "You were dreaming?" Briggs shakes his head. "No, I was there, standing behind the crew." Clubfoot tried to stop them. He ran after the plane. He screamed, but they didn't hear him. Outside, the wind kicks up. The canvas billows violently, and the temperature plummets. Their portable radio crackles, though it's been off, through the static. He tried to stop it. Briggs's eyes go wide. He didn't say that. But the voice, it sounds just like him. Hale kills the radio. Silence returns. Briggs collapses back into the cot, whispering a single phrase over and over. "He's still out there." Hale doesn't respond. He walks outside the tent. The perimeter floodlight is now spinning slowly, though no wind moves it. Briggs is connecting directly with the past, and possibly repeating it. Hale is beginning to see it too. The ghost is pulling them deeper. Early dawn. Ro sets up the last motion camera near the edge of the main runway, his breath fogging in the cold air. He mutters into his audio recorder. "Last camera set, thermals clean. Still no signs of..." He stops, turns. Across the field, near the blast shelter ruins, a figure stands. Distant, motionless. It wears vintage RAF gear, helmet, flight jacket, lopsided stance. Ro raises his binoculars. The figure lifts one arm, waves. Ro stumbles back, fumbles his radio. "Hale, I've got someone here, opposite shelter row, possibly injured. Uniform looks, what W2 issue?" Static. No reply. He turns back. The figure is gone. Suddenly, the runway lights flicker. Then, ignite in sequence. One by one, the strip comes alive like it's prepping for a takeoff. Ro stands frozen. The wind howls down the tarmac. A low engine hum rises, but there's no plane. He runs. Back in camp, Hale and Briggs watch the camera feed. They see Ro running. Behind him, nothing. Until one frame glitches. A blur of multiple figures in aircrew uniforms, walking the runway in silence. The next frame, gone. The haunting is escalating, more structured, more intelligent. The ghosts are reenacting their final mission, and the living are being pulled into the loop. Night. Inside the main barracks tent, Ro tosses in his cot, drenched in sweat, muttering fragments in his sleep. "Stop the fuel. Don't prime. They don't hear me." Suddenly, he bolts upright, screaming. Hale rushes in with a torch. Ro clutches his hands in pain. His palms are red, blistered. Briggs examines them. "What the hell? These look like contact burns." Ro trembles, voice cracking. I was holding the bomb doors. They wouldn't listen. It blew anyway." He breaks down, hyperventilating. Briggs tries to ground him. "Jamie, that wasn't you. That wasn't now." But Ro doesn't respond. He stares into nothing, whispering. "He tried to stop them. He always tried. As Hale inspects the wounds, something clicks. He grabs a field guide, cross-referencing old flight procedures. The Lancaster's fuse panel. If someone sabotaged the ignition relay from inside. He looks up. His face darkens. Rowe isn't dreaming. He's reliving someone else's last moments. Outside, a faint spotlight beam sweeps across the fog, even though no light source is active. Inside the tent, their thermal cam battery drains to zero, without warning. The connection between the ghost and Rowe deepens. The past is not just replaying, it's possessing. A deep hum vibrates the ground as Hale wakes to a low, rhythmic buzzing. He exits the barracks to find Briggs already standing near the edge of the perimeter fence, staring ahead. In the distance, through the thick morning mist, the runway lights flicker on one by one. No one touched the generator. Briggs speaks, voice low. Same time, every night, same place. They both spotted a lone figure at the far end of the runway, barely visible in the fog. Vintage RAAF gear, limping, one hand raised, waving. Rowe joins them, visibly shaken. His bandaged hands tremble. That's where the accident happened. He's stuck there, watching it over and over. Suddenly, the lights cut out. Total blackout. Rowe gasps and collapses to his knees. He mutters in sync with a voice that only he hears. Too late. Always too late. Hale grabs him, trying to shake him from the trance. Briggs turns toward the main road. That's it. We're pulling out. Tonight. They agree to prep for immediate exfil, but the airfield has other plans. As they retreat toward their gear, a low, thunderous engine growl echoes in the clouds, though no aircraft has flown overhead in decades. Sinclair's time loop is activating again, but this time, it's pulling them in. The team gathers their equipment in tense silence. Briggs checks comms. Static. Rowe fumbles with his thermal scope. Dead pixels bloom like mold. Hale rifles through the last of the records they recovered from the locked room. One photograph slips loose, black and white, frayed at the edges. It shows a young RAAF crew posed in front of a Lancaster. One figure, partially obscured, has a twisted boot and a cane, handwritten on the back. He stayed behind. Suddenly, the barracks lights flicker. A shadow stands briefly in the doorway, limping, watching. Rowe jerks back, whispering, "He's not angry. He's warning us." Hale speaks, almost to himself. What if he wasn't the cause, but the seal? Briggs's eyes narrow. His voice is grave. You break a seal, something gets out. The wind outside howls unnaturally, and the air pressure drops fast. Metal groans, hinges scream. The walls shake with the unmistakable thud of bomber engines. But there's nothing outside. Suddenly, every screen in the barracks blinks to life. Static. Then a phrase, typed out one letter at a time. Repeat transmission. He tried to stop them. And then silence. They misunderstood Sinclair's presence. He was the last line of defense against whatever is still buried on that airfield. Inside the sealed comms room, Hale and Rowe dig through ancient reels and brittle files. Tapes dated 1944, marked Operation Watchtower, terminated. A battered projector flickers to life, casting shadows across the concrete wall. A grainy film plays. No sound, just moving images. A Lancaster aircrew rushing the tarmac. A man limping behind them. Clubfoot Sinclair. He's waving, frantic, not trying to stop them, trying to warn them. The bomber engines ignite. A frame stutters. Then, explosion, midair. A bright white flash. Film melt, static. Rowe whispers, stunned. He watched them die, and no one listened. Suddenly, the reel projector reverses on its own. Images stutter backward, then forward again, then stops on Sinclair's face, staring directly at the lens, alive, knowing. The fluorescent light above them bursts. Sparks rain down. Roe screams as his radio explodes in his hand, etched with burned letters across the plastic. Still watching. In the silence, Hale breathes heavily. Then, "We didn't bring ghosts back. We woke up what they locked away." He looks toward the hangar, and it's still in there. The low whine of a siren echoes through the facility, but no one triggered it. The evidence reveals Sinclair's truth, but it's too late. Whatever was trapped beneath RAF Binbrook is reawakening. Fog consumes the perimeter of RAF Binbrook. The mist pulses unnaturally, swallowing light. Sergeant Hale and Roe sprint through the open hangar doors toward the command trailer, only to find it missing, gone, replaced by untouched grass and old tarmac. Roe spins in place. Where the hell is the truck? Hale squints ahead, and there, beneath the airfield's main tower, a spectral scene unfolds. A Lancaster bombazo, intact, gleaming, crew loading up, Sinclair limping behind them again, waving, again, same angle, same time, like a loop. Rose stammers, "We saw this on the film. This already happened." The sound of propellers spinning up echoes from nowhere, yet the fog doesn't move. The air feels like cotton. Every footstep hits ground that doesn't echo. Suddenly, Briggs, burnt, pale, and wide-eyed, steps out from the fog. "We're stuck," he says. "It's always 4:40 a.m. here." Roe runs to him, but Briggs backs away. "He tried to stop them. You need to listen, this time." Then Briggs vanishes. His boots remain. The bomber engine roars, but no wind follows. Hale grabs Roe. "Move." They run, again, to where the command trailer should be. It's there now, exactly as it was. Inside, the clock still reads 4:40. Time is collapsing inward. They're not escaping, just rerunning. Inside the reappeared command trailer, Hale slams the door shut. He bolts it, though there's no sound outside. Roe is pacing, sweating, whispering numbers to himself. 0440, 0440. Hale grips him. "Stop. Look at me. You're here. You're still here." But Roe's eyes drift. Past Hale, toward the window. The curtains sway. No wind. Outside, a figure stands motionless, centered in the fog, directly in front of the trailer. Silhouette, limping. Disfigured gait. World War II uniform barely visible under the mist. Hale watches, doesn't move. The radios burst to life. Static. Then a fragment. "Tried. Stop the birds. Fuel line rigged." Roe covers his ears. He's not angry. He's warning us. It wasn't sabotage. He knew the plane would fall. They didn't listen. The figure raises one hand. Not in threat. In salute. Suddenly, a loud metallic thud strikes the trailer wall. Hard enough to make the lights flicker. Hale pulls open the equipment case, finds one working flare gun, hands it to Roe. If he's stuck in that loop, maybe we're part of it now. A second thud. Closer. Heavier. Outside, the fog peels back, revealing the bomber again. Idle. Waiting. Sinclair may not be haunting them. He may be asking for help. The airfield is no longer empty. Through the fog, flickers of Lancaster bomber lights buzz to life. Engines that should be rusted beyond repair hum low. Faint. Almost spectral. Hale steps outside the trailer, Roe behind him, flare gun trembling in his hand. The runway glows with a cold, unnatural blue. Across it, the ghostly aircrew assembles, vintage uniforms, faces shadowed. At the front, Sergeant Sinclair. He salutes again. "Hale, this isn't a haunting. It's a mission, one they never finished." Sinclair walks toward the plane. Roe stares, eyes wide. "Roe, what happens if they take off?" The radio static intensifies, now sounding like a looped distress call. "Abort, abort." 0440. Abort. As Sinclair reaches the bomber steps, the wind changes. Rowe raises the flare gun. Hale, wait. But Rowe fires. The red flare arcs high into the night, illuminating the entire runway. The bomber and its crew begin to fade, like film burning from the inside out. Rowe drops the flare gun, breath caught. The wind stops. Fog returns, choking, blinding. And just before the runway vanishes entirely, a whisper reaches them both. You were never meant to see it fly. The ghost crew wasn't reliving their deaths. They were trying to stop something from taking off again. It's still night, though Hale has stopped trusting the sky. The stars haven't moved in hours. The wind no longer shifts the fog. Hale stumbles out of Hangar 4, clutching the radio pack against his shoulder. Static again. No signal. The airfield is silent, except for the sound of footsteps, his own, echoing where they shouldn't. Then he sees it, the edge of the runway. That shape, standing again, waving, just like before, exactly like before. He backs away, but suddenly he's not on the runway anymore. He's back inside. The same office, same overturned table, same faint smell of smoke and grease. A door slams. Rowe's voice calls out. But Rowe isn't here. He's gone. Has been for hours, or days, or minutes. It's happening again. Hale looks down. The notepad in his hand, blank just seconds ago, is now filled with symbols, over and over. He tried to stop them. He tried to stop them. He tried. A klaxon blares. Not modern. An old World War II-era siren. He turns. The runway lights blink alive in red pairs, leading out into darkness. The Lancaster bomber appears again. No sound, rolling forward from the fog like it never left. The ghost crew stands beside it. Pale faces, empty eyes, and among them Clubfoot. He limps past Hale without a glance, toward the plane. One hand raised, waving, just like always. But this time, Hale hears something. A whisper, from inside his own head. Or maybe the comms unit, sparking faintly. If you don't stop them, it loops again. His breath catches. Behind him, the ground vibrates. The engines roar. Hale turns. Clubfoot's eyes meet his, and he salutes. The bomber's engine noise grows, impossibly loud. Hale covers his ears, but the sound isn't just in the air, it's in his skull. A low, droning hum, like something ancient, waking up inside a buried cathedral. Through the fog, red runway lights pulse like a heartbeat. Hale watches Clubfoot climb into the aircraft, his movements shaky, desperate. The spectral crew follows without sound. One turns toward Hale. Its mouth opens, but no voice comes out. Just the same static pitch as the radio. Why do they keep coming back? The question isn't asked aloud, but Hale hears it. The airfield begins to change. The rust peels off hangar doors. Debris rewinds itself into walls. For a few seconds, everything reverts, like time has folded. RAF Binbrook pristine again, its ghosts standing watch. A flash, heat, then explosion. The bomber detonates midair in complete silence, a sunburst without sound. Hale shields his face as flames ripple out across the tarmac. But the fire never reaches him. Everything freezes. The blast holds mid-motion. Embers hang like stars. Then the world turns to ash. Hale blinks. He's kneeling in the middle of the now empty runway, alone. Burn marks line his palms. The fog returns, dense, suffocating. But the air is no longer cold. It's still. From behind, the garbled buzz of a radio crackles to life in his pocket. He pulls it out. It's not on. He's still on watch. A voice, faint, filtered, not his own. The lights along the runway flicker. Once, twice, then die. Everything goes black, flickering light. A reel-to-reel tape recorder spins slowly. An overhead fluorescent bulb buzzes in a small concrete room. Ministry of Defense archival log codes flicker on an old CRT monitor in the background. The camera is still. Grainy. Dull green tones wash over everything. Hale sits slumped at the table. His hands are bandaged. He stares forward, unblinking, unmoving. Two figures in civilian dress sit across from him, faces obscured by shadow. One speaks softly, tone clinical. You were sent to assess RAF Binbrook. On-site date, 12th February. What happened after you entered Hangar 4? Silence. Hale doesn't respond. The figure clicks a pen, repeats the question, a little louder. Sergeant Hale, do you remember the airfield lights coming on? Hale blinks, slowly. Then his mouth moves. The voice that comes out isn't his usual tone. It's distant, hollow, like something is speaking through memory, not from it. We weren't supposed to see him. He tried to stop it. The tape machine whirs louder. From a side angle, we glimpse Hale's forearm. Faintly burned into the bandages is a repeating symbol, like a malformed RAF roundel etched in char. The interviewers shift uncomfortably. One scribbles something on a notepad. The other reaches for the tape recorder. But it stops, abruptly. No click, just stillness, then static, from the recorder's speaker. He's still on watch. The lights flicker. A heavy fog rolls across the airfield. Dawn never fully arrives. Only a dim gray light that bleeds through mist like a memory. Hangar doors groan slightly in the distance, moving though no wind touches them. Camera pans over the deserted RAF Binbrook grounds. No soldiers, no vehicles, just stillness, cold and absolute. Then, light. The perimeter flood lamps flare on, one by one. First the tower, then the empty runway, then the far edge near the tree line, where a vintage aircraft shape begins to materialize in silhouette. A Lancaster Bombazzo, rusted, ghosted in from time. Beside it stands a full crew, figures in faded WW2 uniforms, helmets, oxygen masks. They don't move. Their heads slowly turn toward the camera. At the plane's loading ramp stands a single man, his left leg twisted, braced, the outline of his frame hunched. Sergeant Sinclair. He looks right at the lens, as if seeing beyond time, across records and retellings. Then, he lifts one arm and salutes. The lights explode in a burst of white, cut to pure black. Over static, faint but clear, a voice comes through. He's still on watch. For a split second, a final visual flickers. A radar screen in an undisclosed ministry command center. Anomaly detected. High altitude. Moving east. Operator tries to recalibrate, but the signal vanishes. One final log line appears in terminal font. Transmission received 3:14 a.m. No aircraft accounted in sector. Fade out. Silence.